Welcome everyone, this is your host Abraham Jaguar, a professional game master. This channel is proudly sponsored by the following publishers, starting with Shades of Vengeance and their Era Marscape Kickstarter. This is pretty much Doom, the tabletop RPG you play as enhanced soldiers, fighting unknown demonic threats, using the Era D10 dice pool system. Very cinematic. Then we have Magi-Knights Awakening, the magical girl and Super Sentai inspired tabletop RPG where you confront mythos-like horrors. They have recently released An Echo from the Stars. This is the start of an entire saga. Look into the mysteries of Frost Peak Academy. Investigate rumors concerning hauntings in the streets, as well as a mysterious, debilitating illness. Then we have Dead Tree Studios, publishers and developers of Dames of Asstoria, a tabletop role-playing game where you play as monster girls experiencing high adventure in a world that doesn't fully accept them. They have also released the Pay What You Want tabletop RPG Daughters of Lamb, where you play as cybernetic nuns with guns looking for the missing pieces of their AI god. Next we have the Red Room Publishing. Please check out their store for exclusive tabletop RPG products. And check out their sword and sorcery game, Savage Swords. It has received a complete makeover. All of the AI assets have been replaced with handcrafted illustrations, layout, everything. You will find the link to these amazing publishers in the description and in the pinned comment as well. This time I am continuing my review series featuring Elfking. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review series, featuring this tabletop RPG where you get to explore the experience, the melancholy, the eternity of immortal elves, the glory, the decadence. Please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to start talking about combat. Combat in this game, it's nuanced enough without being too complex, but what I really like is the thought put into the entire combat section. If you're new to tabletop RPGs, you're going to love this combat section because it explains everything when it comes to combat in tabletop RPGs, because conflict is crucial to any saga. Without it, there is no... Well, it says here there is no story to tell. After the game finishes, of course, you can tell the story. But, yeah, when it comes to combat, this is more about the physical clashing. At times, such conflict is not confined to physical display. There may be a conflict of opinion, ideology, etc. Maybe there are some operations through subterfuge, destruction of some construct, an ideology even. But there is going to be, of course, the clashing of swords and sinew. Whilst the demise of a long-term character can be somewhat traumatic, the author feels that without the threat of death, a role-playing game is a tame, flavorless affair, devolving into pointless math exercises. Well, no, it depends. It depends. There are some that is in general. I'm against those games that cuddle the players like, oh, you get to decide when your character dies. Do you want to die now? It's ridiculous. It's like in a video game. Imagine in a video game when the sword is about to fall or the axe up on your head and the game pauses and there is this little message that says, "Do you wish to die now or no?" And imagine the player, no, and continues playing. Right? It's ridiculous. But there are some exceptions, like in the case of a Flash Gordon type of game, where the characters rarely die, the main characters at least. You get captured, you get knocked out, you get whatever, something happens. So I think it relies a lot on the theme, the style of the game, but definitely there are some RPGs that do whatever it takes to keep the characters from dying, but without a thematic reason. It feels almost as if they are catering to post-traumatic stress disorder people, like people that are suffering from that. And like I always say, play before playing tabletop RPGs, get some professional help, and then you get to have fun with a fictional game where your fictional character dies in a fictional world. Nothing happens to you. Okay. High status Elfking characters may at first glance appear to be incredibly powerful with their magical greatswords, glamour, star metal, but they can still fall under the right circumstances. Just like Conan. Conan is such an amazing character, but he can still be taken down. So it's that balance of great capacity with great vulnerability as well. So players must understand that this world is dangerous. The Elfking game world is not there to keep you in a safe space. There are dangers. There are intrigues, traps, hazards of all sorts, and monstrous foes. Elfking, it has to be said, does not overly concern itself with the strict minutiae of logistics, and is not exactly a simulationist game. When heroic characters cut huge swathes across vast landscapes, foment war between enemies, or undertake vast quests, they are not overly troubled by what time of the day it is, or whether or not they have sufficient space in their bag for an ornate vase. Well, in the case of the time of the day, in war, that can be quite crucial, especially if you're fighting with the sun behind you. So only in those cases, right? Now, you have the concept of watches, divided into between 3 to 6 scenes or encounters each. When a scene involves 2 or more opposing forces intent upon harm, a combat round will inevitably commence. As each combat encounter composes one specific part of a watch, each is played out to its logical conclusion and is treated as one scene, regardless of its individual length. It is not always essential or necessary to highlight the transition between one encounter or scene to the next, however. These actually merge seamlessly. Now you can employ, it says here, miniatures, visual aids if you want, but here is another concept that I always speak against: the theater of the mind. Okay, here's the thing. In tabletop RPGs there is no theater. Unless you are playing a theater within the fiction. Unless you're playing the opera, the tabletop RPG, I think that's the correct name. In opera, you're playing as stage actors in a theater. But there is no theater. You are actually there in the game world. You're not playing for an audience. There is no audience. Right now, I am speaking to you and I don't have anyone watching me on the sides. Like, I don't have like an audience seeing how I perform. I am communicating with you. You are watching my video. I am speaking to you. So there is no theatrics. I'm just talking to you, right? Theatrics in the formal sense. So it's not the theater of the mind. It's just using the mind's eye. Because again, you are not performing for anyone. When you are Furiculiel or whatever name you want, Tinustal, the elf lord, and you are fighting a troll, you are not performing for an audience. You are trying to survive desperately, defeating the troll in combat or any other foe. And so that concept, this is a gimmick from the old World of Darkness White Wolf days, when they tried to separate themselves from other tabletop RPGs, coming with the storytelling nonsense and the theater of the mind nonsense. Yeah, and if you take a look at the background of the White Wolf team back then, they were probably a bunch of what they call theater kids. So yeah, there is no theater in tabletop RPGs. You are actually in that game world, thinking as if the game world was real. Not, oh, I'm performing for some audience in the fourth wall, right? There are some very specific tabletop RPGs that handle those tropes, where you can break the fourth wall. But that is not the standard. It is not the theater of the mind applied to tabletop RPGs. So this game, you can play it with or without miniatures. And those that do use miniatures, there are actually official Elfking miniatures available in the Lucidai web store. You will find the address here in this book on page 28 it will be 53 in the single page format. And this concludes this part of the review series. In the next part, we're going to talk about the role of weaponry and equipment and other things, other nuances. I like the time taken in this section to explain combat, the divisions of the scenes, when character death occurs, the use of miniatures, etc. I did insert those caveats, but in general, really good section for someone that has never played tabletop RPGs before to understand more or less what could occur. This is not telling a story where your character always succeeds. This is about experiencing the game world with its fictional dangers. And remember, tabletop RPGs are safe. Yeah, I'm telling you, they normalize madness in current times. Thank you for watching this part of the review series. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the Super Thanks button. Take a look at the information in the description and in the pinned comment. This has been your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master, and remember, in tabletop role-playing games, you're not telling stories about your characters. You're experiencing the game world as your characters. Once again, thank you and see you later.